Yo, what is up, guys? My name is Illusive. Today we're going to be doing a continuation of our ArcheAge Unchained guides, and we're going to be doing a melee build. Right now it's set as Dark Runner, but this could be most melee DPS classes that you can run this for and adjust stats, very slightly for your playstyle. Now again, this is my opinion. So if you disagree with something, go ahead, build how you want to. This is just kind of a guideline for newer players who have no idea where to start. Like my last video with the Archer, it's around 10k gear score, so obviously you're not going to be right at that at the very start, but this is a goal to get to. And it's pretty easy with Haram because in gyms all you have to do is add them over time, and if you get the stats, just increase your Haram, things like that. It's mostly the gems that are the gear score, so not too bad. But let's start off with the costume here. Again, the costume, usually what I like to do is I usually like to do defense on the undergarments and then full attack on the actual costume. So the costume has defense pin, melee attack, crit damage, and crit rate. Now, usually I don't like going crit rate, but I think crit rate's just going to be a little bit more useful. You don't have much in this build. You have 50%, which I think is pretty good, and you're not putting too much into it. Besides that, I think the only thing that has crit rate is the... let's see here. I think that's the only thing that has crit rate in it. So, yeah, that's the only thing that has crit rate in it, so you're really not sacrificing too much for that little extra crit. And honestly, since that's the only thing that has crit rate, you could do, let's see, you could do focus, melee crit damage, defense pin, and probably, see what would be the last one. Probably this one can be up to you. Oh, melee attack. So that's what you can do. This is probably going to be better. The focus. Now for the focus, you're probably wondering why I'm putting a little bit of focus in there. And the reason for focus is because archers are going to run evasion. Going to be the best build, having evasion. Like I showed in my archer build, 40% evasion. You don't have focus and you don't backstab, which most likely if I'm kiting you and backstepping, unless you have shadow step in your build, which if you're running the curse brand, which I talk about in the tier list, you're most likely not going to have shadow step unless you're running occultism. So it's going to be a little bit harder to get a backstab if I'm kiting you correctly as an archer. So having that focus where you can get a hit off from a front is going to be very, very useful. Now the defense pin, even though plate's getting nerfed, you're still going to need a little bit of defense pin on pretty much any DPS class that isn't a mage, due to the fact that plate is still super strong, but it's not as strong as now. Moving on, we have the cap, which that's going to have full melee attack gems in it, strength, magic damage reduction, and resilience. Now you're probably wondering why I'm putting magic damage reduction instead of just doing max health or something. Now, with there being a huge play on fanatics and specters, instant cast mages, you're going to have a rough time if you do not have reduction against them, because you are going to get one shot. Even though you are in leather, you're not going to get as one shot as if you're in plate, but you are going to have trouble because you're going to be right on them, and with malediction it's going to be very hard for you to keep up with them when they can one burst you and CC you at the same time, and they have decent mobility. You're going to have more mobility, but they're going to have a little bit more edge on the burst. Maybe, depending. If it's equal gear score, I want to say the mages have a little bit more if the mage knows what they're doing. And it's just going to help during that mage ball and raid re-raid. That's my opinion though. Some people will say think a melee could just wipe out a mage. But I personally think if a mage is good enough, they'll be able to wipe you out before you even know what happened, especially with the instant cast mages. Now for the next one, for the Furqan, you want all resilience gems and strength, magic damage reduction again, and resilience. Pretty self-explanatory. That's mostly what you're going to be running on all of these. Like the pants, same thing, and then toughness gems in them. Just have a little bit more tankiness, survivability. And then for the gloves, you want melee attack, strength, magic damage reduction, and resilience again. Now the things that are different are the belt and sleeves, or the guards. And for the belt, you want triple slash damage, increased gems in it, socketed in it. And then now for the synthesize effects, you want strength, toughness, and focus. Now again, there's that focus. Total with this build, you have almost 1200 focus. You have 1150. I think that's going to be pretty good against what archers are going to be running, which is evasion. So that's going to be pretty good. You don't need to go crazy with the focus, but I think that's a good middle mark. And now with guards, you also want focus, toughness, and strength in them. And you want melee attack. Now with the boots are something you can gem. You can have more melee attack if you want. You can have, let's see here. You put it in the boot. You can have melee. You can have more resilience if you want to, or defense if that's what you feel like. Now personally, if I was running melee, I would do movement speed, and I'm going to tell you why. I don't know if this is what most melees run, or if they run movement speed. Like I said, you can do the resilience, which would be another great option, but this is my take on what, if I was going melee, I would do. And I'm going to go move speed, and the reasoning for that is because, like I said, archers are going to have ton of kite ability if they know what they're doing, and especially with archery getting another drop back. It actually has 2 more dropbacks technically, because the one charge is going to have 2. So they're going to have even more kite ability, especially Ebon songs. So having that extra move speed to catch up with them, you're going to be on the same move speed level pretty much, is going to be huge. Because if you can catch up to them, you're most likely going to kill them. If you're even gear score, you're 99% of the time going to kill them in one burst. It's going to be a little bit harder now if they do go melee damage reduction, which I talked about in my archer video. But that's the reasoning why I think movement speed is going to be a little bit better than the resilience. I could be wrong on that, but that's what I think is going to be good. I'm going to do a little bit of testing in that. I'm going to do melee, mage, and archery testing in PTS once that comes out on October 1st. And for those of you who didn't know, ArcheAge Unchained did get knocked back about 2 weeks to October 15th, and PTS is guaranteed release October 1st. I'm going to be doing a mass spam of content on October 1st through the October 13th, which is when PTS ends. Testing a whole bunch of things. I'm going to be doing streams. I'm going to be doing a whole bunch of things. But now let's get back into the build. Those are the boots. I already explained the undergarments. Now for the necklace, like I said in my last video, the archery, the accessories are where I'm kind of iffy on. I don't know exactly what's best in slot anymore. So if you guys have suggestions on that, let me know in the comments for accessories. But I still think the Arceum Evernight necklace is going to be really good because you have decreased received damage, increased stamina, toughness, and focus. Not much focus, but a little bit that is going to help. Now the Nori earring, same thing. Strength, evasion, and the evasion is going to help a little bit when chasing archer, because you're going to have parry. You're going to have parry, you're going to have evasion, so you're going to miss a lot of the endless arrows if you have a decent amount. Right now you have 15% evasion, which is actually pretty good for not having many points in evasion at all. And then you also have 20% magic reduction, if that's what you're wondering. Now, for the ring, I did not put these effects in the ring, but for the ring, you want strength, defense pin. What what I'm gonna say is strength and defense pen. Now, again, you don't need too much defense pen, but I think that little bit of defense pen is gonna help, especially if there's still some plate mages. Now let's see. Now for the weapons, here's what you can do. For Dark Runner, I'm going to suggest going two-handed, especially early game, because two-handed is going to be, you don't have to focus on two weapons to upgrade. You're going to keep up with mages that are going staff, or archers who are just focusing on one weapon with the bow. But the reason why I have two-handed here is, if you are going Swiftblade, this is very important, if you are going Swiftblade, you want dual wielding. You really do want dual wielding. Now, saying as a Dark Runner, you can go dual wield, and it works really well. But two-handed is going to be that extra burst that's going to be better with Dark Runner or Shadow Blade and such like that. But if you're going Swiftblade, if you're going Curse Brand, which I talked about in my tier list, which is Occultism, Battle Rage, and Shadow Play, you're going to want dual wield. That's just because it has a bunch of extra damage buffs while dual wielding. And so for these, you want melee crit damage, socketed with strength, defense pen, and melee crit damage. Now, axe is a very important one for main hand, because that gives you the extra plate shred, and it's going to be very, very important, because you're not putting everything in a defense pen. You have some defense points, like I said, 3k defense pen, but that extra shred's gonna help you. Now for katana, or for the second one, you could honestly have a dagger sword or katana, I believe it is, for the leather shred. And the leather shred's gonna be important against other melees or rangers that are running leather. Now, I did a katana because it's a little bit extra attack speed, which is going to be really good with Swiftblade. The katana is just my opinion. You can run about anything here that shreds leather. Which is, I believe it's dagger, sword, and katana are the three that shred leather. Could be wrong, could be missing a few. So, but I know for a fact katana does. And what you want on that is defense pen, crit damage, and strength. And then crit damage socketed into it. Now, for the bow, you want melee crit damage, defense pen again, crit damage, strength. The weapons are mostly where you get all your crit damage. If you see here, you have 220 with 47% crit rate, so you're going to be critting quite a bit. It's going to be a bunch of damage, especially with, if you have battle focus on, you're going to have 20% more crit damage. So that's going to be huge. Now for the next one is the flute. I don't know really which was going to be better, which is the flute or the lute. I don't know if it even matters for melee, so don't quote. So the actual instrument, I don't think it matters. I could be wrong on that. If that is so, let me know in the comments. I'd love to know. But for this, you want to socket melee damage, melee attack, strength for the synthesize effect, melee attack, and move speed. Now move speed you can technically put towards evasion if you want to, and you can have that little bit of extra evasion, but I think that movement speed is going to help out catching up to those archers like I was talking about before. Now I'm trying not to spend too long. I know I'm going decently in detail. I'm not going too far though. But for the skill build, there are plenty of different skill builds that you can go for melee, but I think this is going to be one of the main ones for Dark Runner. I could be wrong. There are better. I'm not the best Dark Runner. Like I said, I mostly play Archer and Mage, but I have played my time of melee, so I know a decent bit. But there are definitely people that are better with skill builds. Now the gear, I'm pretty familiar with. Gear, I know it's mostly the skill build that I'm a little iffy on, so I would suggest looking at other YouTubers or guides online for melee's skill builds. Now this one's going to be good, but I don't know if it's going to be like the best use of skill points. There might be 1 or 2 skills out of place, but everything, I would say max 1 or 2 skills out of place, if any. But everything else should be really good. Like Battle Rage, I think this is going to be, I think the only one that I really think would be out of place is maybe 1 or 2 points in Oromancy or Shadow Play. Like, I think some people don't take stealth and they take vicious implosion, which is still really good. Personally, I like stealth, so I would take that. But this is mostly the skill build. For the ancestral skills, the ones that you want to focus on are the triple slash. I can't. Oh, okay, it's not in Russian. The name of it's in Russian still. Okay, so but it's the little one that has kind of like a purplish background. And then the precision strike, you want the green one. I honestly can't read the names. It's still in Russian in the top right, so you can see it's still in Russian, so I can't really say the name of what it is. But the and then you also really want this one, which is the double teleport. I believe that's a double teleport. Could be wrong. Said I can't read Russian. And then the Shadow Smite, you want the lightning one. Yeah, that's the lightning one. So that's mostly what you want to focus on at level 10 Ancestral. Once you get to level 10, those are the ones that you mostly want. But I'm going to be linking this down in the description so you can check it out. You can customize it how you want to, and make your own build. And honestly, share some builds down in the comments. I'd love to see what you guys think. Oh, one thing I actually forgot to touch on is the Dream Ring. The Dream Ring, normally I wouldn't suggest going for the Dream Ring and just getting the Unister Ring. But with the Dark Runner and DPS melees, you want to have that extra stamina, and I think that's going to be very strong. Actually, let me touch on this real quick as well, since I touched on that. If you're not going dual wield, what I would suggest is going a Nadachi or a Great Axe. Personally, I would go a Great Axe, and then you would just want the same thing: strength, defense, pen, and melee crit damage. So let's see here. With the two-handed, and then for the slots, you still want the, where is it? Melee crit damage. So still want the melee crit damage. You're gonna have a little bit less melee crit damage, but you're gonna have more burst damage overall. You have about 150 more melee attack. So that's personally why I also like dual wield a little bit better. You have more ranged crit damage, but it is going to be more expensive in the long run to fully gem those out, level them up, things like that. But two-handed is overall more burst damage, raw damage. But that's about it, guys, for my melee DPS build. Tell me what you thought. Tell me some suggestions if you want to change it up. I'll have the link down in the description. You can change it up. I love for you guys to link what you change it to, and just show me what you guys think would be pretty well. So other than that, guys, thank you guys for watching. Remember to subscribe, like the video, and click the little notification bell so you know whenever I'm making more content and uploading it. Other than that, guys, thank you for watching. Have a nice day.